It was Lieutenant John Oxley and Alan Cunningham that first discovered and named the Bremer River in 1824, calling it Bremer's Creek, while they were exploring the Brisbane River. Ipswich, or as it was known then, Limestone Station, was firstly a penal settlement that was established in 1827 and was used to quarry limestone from the hillsides. This limestone was conveyed to Brisbane through small boats down the Bremer River. The limestone was used in the construction of stone buildings at Brisbane town. Limestone Station and Brisbane at this time both resided under the district of Moreton. In the year of 1828, Alan Cunningham discovered the pass through the Great Dividing Range to the Darling Downs. This gap is now known as Cunningham's Gap. During the same year, sheep were sent to Limestone Station, and later a farm was established at Plough Station, now known as Raceview. The first discovery of coal in the area of Ipswich was made by Alan Cunningham, which was reported to Governor Darling on the 24th of February 1828. In that same report to Governor Darling, Alan Cunningham made the prophecy, "It is therefore highly probable that upon the site of these limestone hills a town will one day be raised." Not long after, in 1829, the first brick cottage was erected at Limestone Station on a block of land on the east side of what is now Thorn Street, next to the rail line, in circa 1829. The penal settlement at Limestone Station was closed officially on the 5th of May 1839. George Thorne and his wife Jane arrived at Limestone Station, and Thorne was appointed superintendent of the government pastoral station.
Well, I'm really honoured to be a descendant of one of the first pioneering families of Ipswich, the Thorne family. That's George Thorne and Jane Thorne. Their story is amazing. They lived in Sydney for about a year, where their first son, George Jr., was born, and then he was offered the post in Moreton Bay. And up he came with Jane. She was young, 19, and their one-year-old son. And that post was in a place called Limestone, which later became Ipswich. There they lived in a very small brick cottage with a thatched roof, and lived there for some 30 years. Now, 4 of those sons actually represented Ipswich and the surrounding areas, along with George, in the first Queensland Parliament. And they moved from the little thatched house to a beautiful home called Claremont in 1863. And there they had, that home still stands today. It's one of the first homes in Ipswich, and it's now a private residence. It was owned by the National Trust for a while. So so that home was the scene of many a social activity. There were fox hunts and balls, and a wonderful time was had by all. So during George's time in Ipswich, however, and he's often referred to affectionately as the father of Ipswich. How can that be? But why they dubbed him with that title was that he was one of many people who was instrumental in starting many of the things that we now have in Ipswich today. And he, for example, was a trustee of the Ipswich Grammar School, the first grammar school in Queensland, and the Turf Club, the Botanic Gardens, the Anglican Church, and the hospital. All of these establishments George was very much a part of. He also bought the first land that was available in Ipswich, and that was on the two allotments on the corner of East and Brisbane Street.
The area of Ipswich continued to expand, with Reverend John Dunmore Lang holding the first Presbyterian service in Ipswich in 1844. In 1846, the paddle steamer Experiment, owned by Mr James Canning Pearce and under the command of Captain Alma Campbell, became the first steamer to travel from Brisbane to Ipswich. The following year, the first courthouse and lockup were erected in the police paddock. In 1848, St Mary's Church was erected in the town of Ipswich. The following year, Father James Hanley became the first resident priest in Ipswich. In 1859, the St Paul's Anglican Church was opened on June 12. The year of 1860 was a very busy year for the newly established town of Ipswich, as during this year was proclaimed a municipality on the 2nd of March.